We are live. Jeff Hawkins, Paul Fontaine, the Dynamite Show. Just want to thank you all for being here. Whoever is watching us live, if you're listening on the audio Thursday morning, thank you for supporting the Patreon. And got people sitting here waiting for us already. Superfan Trish, great to see her in the chat.
Her name's Trisha. I call her Trish because
I know. Is it like? Oh yeah, is she on Twitter? Is it like Trish, not Trisha? Is that?
Yes.
Or no, that yeah.
Trisha,
okay.
not Trish. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, Dynamite tonight. We got a lot to talk about. It's the I don't even know what you call it. The go home show for next week's Dynamite. I don't know.
It's the go home show for the Giant Battle of the Belts 8.
Oh my
which I just found about tonight.
So I found out about it on the weekend because I watched Collision and they casually mentioned it at some point. They set up a match actually. Yeah, these Battle of the Belt shows, it's just a 3-hour Collision. Okay, everybody. And Collision is just a 2-hour Rampage. So it's pretty much where we're at, right?
Do we want to get in a pregame before Dynamite, or do we want to do Dynamite?
Let's just go right into Dynamite. We can talk about things as we go because this all kind of blends in together.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Mystico, but I guess
Well, you know what? Let's do that because that happened tonight.
That is a fascinating pickup.
So for those that don't know, I don't know, is it a pickup or is it just a one-off?
It might be a one-off, but it's still on the same show that earlier Pentagon was on.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a change. So CMLL and AAA have had, those that don't know, have a long-term death rivalry. They hate each other. They've been, rival promotions for over 30 years in Mexico. And so this is like, WCW, if it was still around, against WWF. And they, they don't allow their talent to work on shows where the other one's working, same as WWF is here. And we're getting Rocky Romero and Mystico on a AEW show that also included Penta wrestling in the opener, who is a AAA guy.
And for the gringo wrestling fans, Mystico used to be known as Sin Cara in the WWE.
Right. But it's the Mystico, Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Wrestler of the year in, I don't know what year it was, 2007, 2008, from Mexico, which is unheard of. It's the only time it's ever happened that a wrestler from that country won Wrestler of the Year, I believe. In the Wrestling Observer Awards, which, I imagine, El Santo might have won it back in the day if, Dave was 200 years old. So Mystico and Rocky Romero, they're calling it the pound for pound title because I believe Rocky is the historical welterweight champion, I believe. I can't remember which title Mystico holds, but it's the two longest running titles in all of wrestling, I believe.
Yes.
And they're wrestling each other. It's historic. And this match has moved a ton of tickets in Houston. It's going to air on Friday on Rampage, but they were at 1,800 tickets a week ago, and they got nearly 5,000 in there, which is pretty incredible ticket movement. Now, they did a buy one, get one free gimmick. They lowered prices to like $20 and everything, but they do that every week, everywhere. And they don't move this amount of tickets. So this is about Mystico, I believe. And it's Houston, and also it's the right market for it.
Well, Kenny Omega actually wrestling is also
true. That's another big one. Sting, they advertised.
Yes, they advertised some heavy hitters for this, and MJF being there.
Right, but I think the main one was
I didn't even see
MJF being advertised. So that must have been a late thing because what was that?
No, I think you're probably correct.
Yeah. And even, the Hikaru Shida match that was, advertised at 2:30 in the afternoon on Twitter before the show. Tony went on a spree. You know what? Hey, maybe it was Tony's tweet spree last week that sold all these tickets. He's going to tell himself that. You know that, right?
Can I disagree with that popular wisdom that that he gets on there and he complains for interaction and then he announces a bunch of matches for interest?
Yeah,
that's a smart business strategy. You can't get me behind that. I'm sorry.
I tend to agree with you. I think that if he was just to tweet something nice, that would get some interaction and might have the same effect.
I think it turns more people off of his product. I gotta be honest with you.
Well, let's just say, for example, let's say you do that and you announce it on TV a week at a time. I bet you that would do even more.
Yes,
I could be wrong. I am a bit of an old school traditionalist, but regardless, they sold a bunch of tickets. It seemed like a pretty good crowd. I mean, it was a big crowd. They weren't super pumped for everything, but they were, it wasn't. I've seen worse AEW.
No, it wasn't a bad crowd. It just wasn't a crowd that's memorable necessarily.
No, but again, it wasn't memorable in a bad way either.
No.
There were a lot of people there, so that's good. That's a good.
As we go into Dynamite, I want to bring up something.
Sure.
Because I am a fan of the Boom. I think you are a fan of the Boom as well.
Yes, I am. I haven't listened to this week's yet, though.
Okay. Well, this week, they both looked at each other for a moment and said, I feel bad because I feel like we're being too negative on this show. Number one, gimmick infringement. Number two, I don't think, and it's weird because I'm seeing this a lot in commentary where they're apologizing for not liking the product that's on the screen. And I don't think you need to apologize. I think that comes out of caring sometimes. Now, sure, there are people who do it as a gimmick for interactions and don't, and are just being obsequiously obnoxious, Jim Cornette. But, it's one of those things where it's like, we look at this and it's not that we're rooting against AEW. We want it to be a better product, and we're pointing out things that we think are weak in it.
And we want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
We have to watch it.
And we give praise where it belongs too. It's not an across the board thing. So it's just, but I understand Kevin and James's thing, because nobody wants to listen to a podcast of people just complaining all the time. They don't.
Well, unless it's entertaining and unless you want to. I mean, some of the best, Brian and Vinny shows were when they were burying TNA for
Shake Them Ropes years. Every week on the Voices of Wrestling.
There you go. And us, but I will say, I think the main talking point of the show, because Kevin talked about it in the Discord, was coming up with the 5 most important storylines in AEW right now. And he posted it in the Discord, and I assume he was asking for feedback.
Yes, he was.
And I came up with 3, and then I was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 6 hours of television every week, sometimes 7, sometimes more if it's a pay-per-view. And I could not think of 5 important storylines. I'm being
fact-checked in real time by Kevin Healy, by the way.
Okay.
And yes, you did say that, Kevin.
Okay. MJF and Jay White, clearly.
Yes.
Don Callis, and I said Don Callis and Kenny Omega.
Yes.
They said Don Callis and Jericho. It's all
no. I think it's Omega, but I think there's tertiary characters
yeah.
within there.
And then the third one, what did I have? Christian and Adam Copeland.
Yes,
that's it.
Pretty much.
You can come up with some other ones, but that's just to fill out a string. They had Toni Storm. I mean, that's doing picture-in-picture in quarter 7.
Julia Hart and Sky Blue, that's not an important story. I mean,
where's Julia Hart? Chris
Statlander,
Orange. I had Orange Cassidy, I think.
Orange Cassidy's a story with the belt. Yeah.
That's. I mean, and I'm interested in that story. So
yeah.
And Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, for better or for worse.
But you are right. There's not a lot of lines of demarcation with certain talents that are actually getting built, brick by brick. It's kind of, we do the match type of a thing.
That said, I think they might have recognized that, and there is some focus now, and there is some direction. And I saw a lot of people on this show are looking straight at MJF, which, hallelujah, praise God.
Yeah.
He's the world champ. And we didn't see Samoa Joe this week, but we had, we talked about it last week. We had Kenny Omega mention MJF. We had
MJF mentioned Samoa Joe on commentary too.
He did. He did. Yeah. And of course we had, Jay White is going after MJF, and Juice Robinson is going after MJF. Urkel Caster is going after MJF.
Urkel Caster. You did not just call him.
Oh, that's his name. Now,
okay.
And there was somebody else. Somebody in the chat can help me out. I had it written down. But all these people are straight on with MJF, and I love that, because it shouldn't just be one feud.
It's shades of I would say Ric Flair in '85.
Absolutely.
Where you had you had Tully, you had Nikita, you had Dusty, you had Magnum, you had Manny Fernandez, you had all these guys going.
I'm going to get this wrong, but the name's wrong, but you might have had Ric Flair's got a match coming up with Dusty. You've got Magnum TA is feuding with Tully. The winner wants Flair.
Yeah.
You've got Lex Luger and Nikita Koloff. The winner wants Flair. you know, like, you know, and everybody wants, Wardlow. Thank you,
Wardlow,
Anthony.
yes.
Yeah, he was the other one that mentioned MJF. And all of these feel like they could happen soon, you know, and
yeah,
that's kind of cool.
It's interesting, and again, to steal a little bit of thunder from the Boom, God, that was such a bad pun, and I didn't mean it. This is a company in a bit of a identity crisis, and it's trying to find its way with the story thing. Whereas, and a lot of people were kind of getting turned off because it wasn't just pure in-ring action, action. And look, there was some dinner theater stuff on here,
But there wasn't
critics
a lot.
like to say. But there were some good things on here too in terms of building blocks. So, you know, I'll give them the leeway here.
Overall, I kind of like the show.
I did too.
Yeah, there was some stuff I didn't like, but it was few and far between. So, we started out with Penta and Jay White, and Penta attacked Jay White during his entrance. So, you know, and then we go back into the ring, and Taz says, "For those that don't know, the match doesn't start till the bell rings." And just, of all the things, you know, like, there's so many things in this company they expect us to know, you know, like, you know, who, freaking Mystico fought in 2009, you know, on some Arena Mexico card. But this, we don't know that the match doesn't start till the bell rings. I just thought that was funny. You know, it was kind of cool. And that might have just been for him. But Juice was at ringside. He was just freaking insane. He was dancing. He was moving his arms around. He was trash talking Alex Abrahantes. The guy, I'll talk about it in the promo later. This guy's going to be a babyface before too long.
He's a heat machine, is what he is, because you just want shut up, and it's like, but you're laughing at him at the same time. Yeah. It's like, my God, you're annoying. But I'm enjoying it so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Shake them ropes every weekend on Voices of Wrestling.
This was the total Jay White match. It wasn't a Penta match. It was, you know, slower paced. It was Jay White controlling it, going to the outside, and it was good. And it got crowd heat. They came back from a break. Crowd was chanting Zero Miedo. Taz mentioned that even though MJF is loved by the fans, he's hated by the locker room, which I thought was interesting. So again, I think setting him up as somebody that's going to be feuding with anybody. You know, I mean, he's always talking about being a scumbag, but he's in a babyface way, and this is kind of hinting that, you know what, he can be a heel too. So I kind of like that.
And I mean, and to go back to the Flair comparison, it would be depending on who he was facing. He was either a babyface or a heel. I think that's kind of the plan here, and I think that's kind of cool.
It is. And even when he has friends, like, you don't even know, are they really his friends? Do they really just want
he
the
can
belt?
turn on him at any time, yes.
Or they can turn on him. Yeah.
True.
So Penta got a nice 2-fall with a Death Valley driver. He went for Fear Factor. Jay reversed into Uranagi. Brainbuster by White. Dragon Screw. Sleeper Suplex. Went for the Blade Runner, but Penta reversed it. Hit Made in Japan for 2. Then the Guns came out, distracted the ref. Juice hit Penta with the left hand of God, and Jay White rolled him up. So it's a pretty good match with a shitty finish, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't see the need for the screw job finish, but I understand why they did. And we did get a little bit of sports entertainment Penta in this match.
Just a little.
You know, a little bit.
Oh, there was, okay, I don't want to mention this because it comes into play later. They did a chop battle. Penta took off his shirt, which I don't think I've ever seen him without his shirt on. And they did a chop battle, which keep that in mind for later.
My favorite thing about that was Taz explaining lycra versus spandex or something to that effect. But yeah, no, that's you know, this is
was fine.
Penta is such a weird. I say this every time, but you don't really know if he's getting pushed or not. You know, he's kind of always on that upper echelon, and you go, they could make him into a killer at any time, and then they just choose not to.
Well, I think they kind of heat him up when they go to Texas and Chicago, and then everywhere else they just kind of forget that he's on the roster.
Southern California as well.
Yeah, he's in the Pentaverse.
Yes, he is.
So yeah, what did I noted that Cardblade has a belt. I'm like looking at what I wrote here, and it says CARDALDE. I'm trying to figure out what exactly I was trying to write there.
Cardalade. You're just trying to write Cardblade.
Yeah, Cardblade has a belt now. The Triple B. He asked for a mic, calls the fans his bang bangers. They're chanting "You suck," and he's like, "No, MJF sucks." And where is he? He's not here, but JAY is here, and the fans actually applauded that. He says, I'm a real world champion, an elite world champion. Max, I'm still waiting for an answer from my generous offer. You can't find anyone to team up with you to take back the Bang Bang belt. Why don't you just pay off your Gimp squad again? Till then, you got no one. And Juice takes the mic and he says, spoiler alert, tonight in the main event, the Stray Bullet is going to win the Dynamite Dozen Douchebag Rattle Royale, baby.
Okay,
and,
let me stop right here real quick.
Yeah.
2 questions.
Yes.
Number 1, do you love the Stray Bullet nickname as much as I do?
I don't understand it, but I love it.
Okay.
Can you explain it?
A stray bullet is like a randomly shot bullet out there that you're not intending to do or whatever. And it fits his personality perfectly.
The first
he's
time
saying he's not exactly on target. He's not exactly centered. I like that.
The first time I heard it was when Adam Copeland said it. And I just thought he was making something up, and then ever since then, I've heard.
I think he was trying to insult him, and he took it and made it his nickname, and I think that's awesome.
I think
that's awesome if he did that because it's just like, oh wow, you did that. The pivot.
Okay, so
do you like it or not?
What pivot?
I mean, do you think they did a good job off of the roller coaster?
Yes.
I agree. I think they did a good job on that. So
I was worried because MJF kind of doubled down on Twitter. Tony was trying to ignore it. He was DMing people about it, and then it just kind of went away. So you know what? Maybe this was the best way to handle it.
I feel left out. He didn't DM me, and I was the harshest person online. I think about
not me either. So anyway, so he says, after I win the right to face MJF in Philly for his stupid ring, he says, which by the way is not as nice as this one I bought from TJ Maxx, which is which is made out of cubic zirconium, which he repeated because he screwed up the last time, so he just repeated the screw up.
Always.
And the fans started chanting TJ Maxx. This is when I realized he's going to be a babyface in like a month because you just can't hate this idiot. And Austin grabbed the mic and he did the guns up catchphrase, and that was it for them.
I think it'd be a mistake to turn him, but okay. I
don't think they're going to turn him. I just think
I think he can be this obnoxious heel for a long, long time. I really do. I think there's legs in it, and I know that people will cheer him, but I think he will just get more obnoxious so that
I shouldn't say like they're not going to turn him, but he's going to be like MJF, like the original MJF. Where people like him, even though they're supposed to boo him.
Yes, he's going to be the cool heel.
I wouldn't say cool. The entertaining heel.
Yeah.
Can we say that? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know if he's supposed to be cool or if he even is cool. Maybe he is. I don't know. I thought it was weird that Jay White said MJF wasn't here. And then the very next thing we see is
here, right in front of him for this segment right now.
Renee is backstage with MJF, but MJF did address it. He said, I could have gone out there, but I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna get beat up 4-on-1. I'm a scumbag.
Oh, if he had stupid babyface syndrome, I would have. This would have been the best promo ever.
He almost said that.
Yes,
he almost said that. Yeah. He said, I'm a scumbag. He said, Daddy's doing commentary tonight, and I'm not wasting my entrance pop. And the fans kind of like this. It was like almost like they started to boo.
He said, I'm not wasting my entrance pop on Texas.
Yeah,
and it was just such a weird shot across the bow. It's like, all right.
I think he said on Texas, but he meant in Texas, meaning like I'm gonna get one, so I don't want to waste it. You know, I want to do it when it counts. Is what he was trying to say, but that's not quite how it came out. And what did he say? So he says, I'm gonna get back my Triple B before Full Gear. Juice Robinson, I pray to God that you win. Next week in Philly, it's the left hand of God versus the right hand of the devil. I love that line. The blood won't be on my hands. It's on Jay White's. And then the Acclaimed show up, and this segment went to hell fast. They offered to team with them.
This stinks.
They offered to team with him and Scissor after they win, and MJF's like, no. And then he said, and then Urkel says, I'm going to join in the Battle Royal. And MJF, you're going to have to put a ring on it. And then MJF just looks at him and he like basically just walks away. And Billy and Anthony are like, what are you doing, dude? We talked about this. You're coming on too hard. And then Billy smiles and says, he's just a scumbag. And then Urkel goes, yeah, but he's my scumbag. And it's like,
Teen romance comedy doesn't work for me on this one. I'm sorry. I get that they're popping a few
Isn't Max
people.
Caster straight?
To my knowledge,
Okay.
there's nothing. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, but pick a side.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it could be bi. I shouldn't say that. Sorry. He could be bi, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
You can reach Paul Ace Fontaine on Twitter at
yes. Yeah. No, and you're right. Yeah, like I mean, he could be bi.
No, they might be playing the character up or whatever. It's fine. It's just one of those things where it's just like.
But Max is clearly not into it, and he's clearly into chicks.
It's a Twitter it's a Twitter gimmick,
but
it should have stayed there. I think that's just
me. Yeah, and it's becoming a little much.
Well, I mean, for all the praise I gave earlier to AEW, there is a weird sitcom, let's pop everybody and make them laugh thing about the entire tone of this show.
But it's like from 20 seconds. So
well, but yes, but I mean, from the commentary to Adam Cole's vignette to this. To
did you hear Tony? Did you hear Taz later on the show? And he's like, after the Roddy Strong segment, he's like, Tony.
Yes, I did, and it's one of those weird things where it's just like, I don't mind a little humor in my wrestling. I just kind of want it a little bit more straight, and it's getting a little goofy, and the best friend stuff too. Yeah, it's just
some of it's funny, but
a lot of it isn't.
Yes. That Toni Storm stuff might be, for all I know, but I'm not watching it, so I have no idea.
I watched it; it was okay. I'll give a review when we get there.
Okay, yeah, because I fast forward the commercials. So, we got a Hikaru Shida video package. Not much to it. Led into Emi Sakura and Hikaru Shida, and holy crap, what a match they had!
I enjoyed the hell out of this match. I mean, this was for me, anyways. But yeah,
they didn't have much time. But whatever time they had, they made the most of it. As we say, making the most of their minutes. They just beat the crap out of each other. They did another chop battle, although I guess it was chops and forearms, but it was very similar to the opening match. And then they just, they didn't have much time, so they were just going for everything. Cross bodies, Hurricane Rana on the outside, missile drop kick. Fans are chanting, holy Shida. They did a rolling cradle spot. Emi hits a tiger driver, got a great near fall off of that. She missed a moonsault. Shida hit the katana. Emi kicks out at 1. Jeff's favorite thing there. Although when Emi does it, probably actually is. Yes. A chop and a La Magistral by Emi gets 2. I guess the La Magistral was a shout out to Mystico. Backbreaker by Shida. Then Emi hit a backbreaker. Shida got an armbar. Emi escaped. Shida hits a Falcon Arrow and only got a 2. Then she hit the katana again and got the win. And this was freaking great. It was a title eliminator match, so unfortunately now Emi Sakura cannot challenge for the title until Shida loses the belt, which will probably be next week.
Perfect. We'll set up Emi for another title match soon. I really, I mean, it was one of these things where I get that this is also something that simultaneously annoys me at times, but here I really was noticing how Emi plays the room a lot, even with this ridiculous, stupid queen character of hers. She's taking her time. She's not rushing
a little
things.
Bit. Downplayed a little.
Well, yeah, but she's talking to the crowd a little bit. She's kind of doing a small room. Yeah, she's not doing the queen that stuff. I just meant the gimmick of the queen thing. She's kind of like flopping her hair a little bit and talking to her subjects and stuff, but she's taking her time at the same time. She's not rushing things, and that helps pace it a lot. I think she's the underrated MVP of this women's division.
I agree.
And she continues to be. And I think Toni should reward her a little bit more, but I get that there are other women waiting and they can't.
I think she should have got the win here, and then we could have got a rematch. But
again, you team her with Nyla or you team her with Athena, and you make them a 2-women wrecking crew, and then you have an automatic tag team division, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Samantha pointed out here this should have been a title match. They got 852. I'm going to take exception to that, and I agree in concept. But the problem is that we had a match on Friday on Rampage, which was Emi Sakura and Sky Blue. Winner gets a TNT title match. The loser got to wrestle the world champion.
Yes,
that was different.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
No,
And
but I mean, they could have booked it differently. I mean,
I
you know,
hate the idea of title eliminators against the
yeah.
champ. I
Sky
think
Blue
it's
could have beat Kiera Hogan or, you know, like Red Velvet or somebody else, and then they could have just given Emmy this match. And
I
then,
actually think
bam,
the number one contenders match should be the title eliminator, where the person who
Yes.
wins gets to
Yes.
fight the champ, and the person who loses can't fight the champ until there's a new champ.
That's a good one. I also want to point out here, Kevin pointed out there's a sign on TV, more women, please. Did you watch NXT this week?
Yes.
Did you notice?
All over the place.
No, there were 4 straight women's matches.
Yes,
on
they do this almost as a response, I think.
They did 4 straight women's matches on the show. And do you want to know how they did in the ratings? They had their 5th highest audience of the year.
Yes.
I do not subscribe to this bullshit that the women don't draw. That is a self-fulfilling prophecy when you put one women's match on every show and you don't devote any other time to any other programs. That's it.
I'm not going all in on you with that, because it's one of those things where it's like they're still stacking the deck here on these NXTs. I mean, you got Becky
There were
Lynch.
2 of those women were having their first television match they've ever
that's
had.
True. That's true, but they stuck around for it as opposed to turning the channel. I will agree with you on that part of it.
Right, and I think that would happen in AEW as well if you give them the time.
I agree.
You can't tell me that if they would have given Toni Storm a match,
I think Tony's not
whatever
good with
fuck
women.
that Lance Archer match was, Toni Storm couldn't have got a squash there.
Oh no, the Lance Archer thing was the hometown thing.
I don't care.
I get it. No, I'm just explaining it to you.
Okay, you know, like,
don't have to yell at me. I agree with you here.
All right.
What did I do to you?
Nothing. I'm fired
up. I love you, Paul. I'm sorry.
I'm just fired up. I'm fired up because I watched that NXT show after I saw the ratings. And I'm like, you know, and then I'm like, okay, wait, there's 3 women's matches in a row here. And then, oh my God, there's 4. And I thought you could only have 1 in a 2-hour show.
If
I didn't
Tony
realize
would just
you could have
sit
4.
down and book a women's division like a men's division, we'd all be fine. But I think he overthinks this and thinks that women have to have some sort of weird female angles or something like that. No, they just do wrestling angles with women. You'll be fine.
Yeah. And you know what? And they can have a female side, get a woman in there to write the stories. And
if you
need
know,
to. Yeah, if you need to. All right. We followed that match up with, I want to know what you thought of this. We didn't talk about this ahead of time. Remarkable Renee with Adam Copeland for his rated R rebuttal. This was one of the top things that was advertised on this show, the rated R rebuttal. I assume on Saturday we're going to get a Christian Cage comeback to the rated R rebuttal. Edge got on here, Adam Copeland. He said about 8,000 words in 3 minutes. He just went on and on and on. He just never stopped. Like, and at the end of it, I think all he said was, I don't want to fight Christian Cage. Like, you could sum it up in those 6 words. Was there any other reason for this? Like,
exposition, and it wasn't good.
It wasn't good because he was talking so fast. He was like, okay, I wrote some of this stuff down.
You know what this was is he was going, I have this much time, and I have to fit the entire backstory of this feud into these 5 minutes or something to that effect.
This is a promo that he would have had 20 minutes to cut on SmackDown, but he had 3 minutes to cut it
and
here.
He would have done it in a dark room with weird lighting.
Well, maybe in the crowd.
And a lot of pauses and a lot of angst and stuff like that. Yeah. No, here's what he needed to say. I mean, this promo also came off as he's such a jerk.
He is,
because it's like
he basically took credit for everything Christian Cage has ever done in his career.
Yes,
like and he when he was young, and some of this stuff I didn't know, and maybe he's making it up, but I'd never heard it before. I did hear the story about him writing an essay to become a wrestler. Well, apparently Christian was going to do it too, but he was too lazy, so he didn't do it. And then a year later, Edge got him into wrestling school. Then he got a job with WWE. And he pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to get Christian in, and finally they brought him in. And then, and then they fast forwarded, years later, and now he's here and he's being successful. And I showed up and he's feeling threatened now, but I don't want to fight him. I came here to team with him. That's essentially what it was. But
I think there were a couple things that were wrong with this. The staging with Renee, for example. This doesn't have to be a Barbara Walters interview. He should be looking at the camera, addressing us. This is the rated R rebuttal. Tell us these things, and just say, "I came here to join Christian Cage and end our careers as a tag team. Christian, I don't want to fight you.
he's
But
trying
I
to do the
will."
Owen Brett thing,
Yeah.
and I don't think we've already haven't we? It feels like we've seen them fight. I could be wrong, but I mean I know we saw them fight in WWE, but I feel like we've even seen them fight here in AEW, or maybe I'm just
Yeah, when they
imagining.
came out and it was the whole
Did
grabbing
they
the
brawl?
chair thing. I know. I think they kind of were kept
They
apart.
avoid each other. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's just so much going on that you didn't even notice, but you're probably right. I'm sure you're right. Oh yeah, Renee asked him if he wanted the TNT title, and or he's like, "No, I don't want the TNT title. That's not why I'm here. I came here to team with him."
By the way, this is
Um,
only the second worst Edge promo this week, or Adam Copeland promo this week, because that thing, what he did on Collision was inexcusable to
oh
me.
well, it was
You don't
going
bring up
fine.
you don't bring up the
No,
vanilla midget vernacular, and you don't bring up that you're copying a style from another wrestler type of a thing, that you're a carbon copy.
well, I think MJF's gone to that well with the copying the Rock
Yes,
before,
he did.
but the vanilla midget was
Build the
ugh,
fight. Build the
yeah.
fight. Don't tear down the guy in front of you. That's not the time
And
for it.
I've heard the argument that or Starks brought it on himself for calling him bug-eyed, but no, that's just a heel line. Like I think, like
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Edge is
but you gotta sit down with everybody and go, okay, here's what you're
yes.
doing. You need there's stuff backstage and there's stuff on stage, and it has to be only the stuff on stage for the most part. You can't.
I had a bit of a discussion with somebody in the Discord about this, and I said that Edge is used to having a script. And and I'm sure he gets to like the verbiage he can do himself, but he's got a pretty detailed script of all the points he's got to hit and everything like that. And I'm sure Tony looks at the guys that were in that ring, and you had Christian Cage, you had Bryan Danielson, you had Adam Copeland, you had Ricky Starks, who he's relatively new, but he's a great promo, and he trusted those guys to go out there and just he said, "Here,
To wing it.
go out and cut a promo on each other. Make sure to build towards this."
Well, I'll
And
also
I'm
add
not even
from
sure he said that, because I heard so many people that watched that and had no idea what the hell they were building towards,
yeah,
including a wrestler that works for AEW
yes.
said that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
And I know from personal knowledge that Edge was in charge of his own creative
there you go. So
for the last
um,
few years there.
did and probably has a lot of say right now, I would imagine.
I would imagine.
Would you say, by the way, that the last few weeks of Collision, like whether they've been good or not, and I've kind of liked them for the most part, but did they feel like maybe like the last 3 weeks were put together by like three different people?
Yes.
Like these were like three completely different shows that have no connectivity, like to each other, in the sense that like one week you've got a wrestling show, the next week you got a variety show,
Well,
and then
I'll do you one better. It seems to me like they had one main point, and then they had about an hour and a half of other stuff they needed to fill.
so
That's what it
just
felt like to
just
me. It's
filler.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
And they did that one thing really well.
yeah,
Christian Bryan Danielson, Drew. They got a really nice audience against real tough competition. So good on them for that. And there's clearly a lot of interest in that match. It was a great match. So
okay. I apologize for the tangent on
that's
Adam
okay. That's
Copeland.
okay. Well, it was all more interesting than his promo.
True.
Yeah. And so yeah, basically the end of it was he doesn't want to fight Christian. So
Yeah. What did we feel after that promo? That's the thing.
what
And
did we
that's that.
feel?
Well,
Edge
no,
and
no, no.
Christian
No. That's not a question I want answered.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm trying. That's
What are we supposed
stage
to feel?
notes. That's stage notes to him. What are we supposed to feel as a viewer after you
Yeah.
finish this promo?
I think we're
And I think
supposed
it
to want
failed.
them to team up,
Yeah, well,
which
that
I don't
failed.
think anybody actually wants that.
Yes.
Not right now, anyways. I
Yeah.
think eventually they do, but
Mhm.
they want them to fight. And maybe that's the subtext. Like when Brett was saying, I don't want to fight Owen, in reality, he was trying to make the fans want that match even more. Like that's a little bit of 3D chess there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted them to fight. And I guess in a way, Edge is trying to convince us to want to see them fight. And I think we're gonna see it. I think they're probably gonna be full gear, honestly.
Okay.
And yeah, so Okay, yeah. So I did write down the stuff about the TNT title. I just hadn't got there yet. I wrote down a lot of words about this Edge promo.
You don't need to.
I'm not going to. All right. Wardlow versus Ryan Nemeth. Nemeth attacked him for the bell. That didn't go very well. One power bomb and the ref stopped it. So Ryan Nemeth is 1/5 as good as Chris
Shout out
Harrison.
to my man Ryan Nemeth. I like him.
Get paid. Right? I thought Dolph Ziggler was going to come out and make the save.
That would have been cool. I would have taken that.
I guess we hadn't quite been 90 days yet.
No.
But no, this was just I'm all here for Wardlow squashing all the people that Tony forgot he was paying for the next couple weeks or months.
I am too. I just I thought the aftermath was completely unnecessary. All you have to do is get a camera shot of him pointing to his wristband, and instead we got bullying Tony Schiavone, which nobody wants to see.
Well, I guess they wanted to establish he was a heel.
Yeah.
Because he comes out and he asked him why he's back. He just put up his wristband, pointed at MJF's initial, crowd chanting Wardlow, which is interesting. And then Wardlow just shoved Tony aside and said nothing. And Tony actually legit looked like he took a bad bump. When he
looks like he got hit and then he decided to take a bad bump.
Yeah. And then getting up, it was like, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that was stupid. I'm too old for this. What was I thinking?
Yeah. And he was not happy.
No.
What do you feel about Wardlow's hair?
I'm a bald man, Paul. I don't.
Oh yeah. He's got MJF's hair.
It's a fine head of hair on that man.
Not
affected at all by any pharmaceuticals he may or may not take.
Oh, there you go. We went backstage with remarkable Renee Paquette again. She's with Kenny Omega. Kenny says, "This hasn't been the best run of my career. I have a putrid win-loss record," which I thought was funny because when he came out later, they said he had a 13-1 record on Dynamite on the graphic. But then on the commentary, they were talking about how he's 500. So I don't know what's going on. But
they don't watch the show in production.
I guess the record is combined on all the shows. But on Dynamite, he wins because he usually wrestles guys like Kyle Fletcher.
Yes.
So he reminded us he's the measuring stick. To run with the elite, you got to take out Kenny Omega. He said this week it's Kyle Fletcher, then it's the Don Callis family, and then maybe the Kenny Omega of old will target the AEW World Title. Cue MJF, which I was shocked. And he comes in and he says, "I've always admired you. I've always been a massive fan." He puts out his hand to offer him a handshake. Kenny is hesitant, because he is a scumbag, but he finally agrees.
And he's not a stupid baby face, Kenny Omega. He's not smartened up after getting stabbed in the head with a screwdriver.
He absolutely. So MJF shakes his hand. He reaches over, and I thought he whispered something in his ear, and I thought for sure we weren't going to hear it. But
Same.
he says 13 days, bitch. And then Kenny looks at him like, we'll see about that. And I'm like, it took me about 2 seconds to realize, oh, Kenny is the longest reigning AEW World Champion, and MJF's going to break his record in 13 days. I actually figured this out before the announcers told me. So I felt good about that. And I was very glad that the announcers actually clarified that later. So, Kevin, they did explain the 13 days thing on TV during commentator later on. Excalibur mentioned
I didn't hear it. That's a weird
thing.
Really?
No. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, they did mention it. So,
okay.
I
was wondering too. I was like, okay, is there a show on Tuesday that I'm not knowing?
No. And I mean, I don't think he's defending his title in the next 13 days. So, he's gonna break that record. Well, they brought it up on BT at 26 days. Okay, so Sam, you and 5 people saw that. So, maybe more. But I'm facetious. But 26 days. So Kevin missed it. Jeff missed it. I'm sure a lot of people missed it, but I heard it. And a lot of people on Twitter caught it because they all told me, because I'm watching on a delay. So I probably said it right at the time Excalibur was saying it on TV. So, no, I like that. And he's going to break the record because I don't think he's defending the title in the next 13 days.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, no, I don't even, I guess maybe next Saturday on Collision he could. Is that Dynamite, that match next week with Juice is not for the belt, I believe. It's just for the ring.
No, it's just for the ring.
Yeah.
And then if he wins the ring, he gets the right to challenge for a title, I believe.
I'm not sure about that because last year when we had that, I believe Ricky Starks had a title shot that he'd already earned. Yeah. And that's why we thought, he could have actually won the ring and then lost the title match. I'm not sure about getting the title match for the ring, but I could be wrong about that. Somebody will correct me if I'm right. But yeah, it was I thought this was really cool, and it set up another challenger for Kenny Omega. So, we got a lot of big shows coming up. We got Full Gear in November. We've got another pay-per-view in December. We've got he's still running around with these ROH tag team titles that he never defends. I know it's kind of
Final Battle. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or whatever the
all right. Earlier today at Roderick Strong's humble abode, which they actually put on the graphic. Now I will say at the beginning of this, I was kind of liking it for a little bit. Mike Bennett was playing the bongos. I can't remember what he was singing, but it was actually kind of funny. Cole has coffee for Roddy. He spits it out. He says, I hate hot coffee. And then Cole says, all right, that's it, dude. I'm out of here. And then Roddy's, oh, no, I'm sorry. He says, you know what I'm really craving? He says, remember when you were in Ring of Honor and you used to make us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? And then everybody smiles and laughs. He's like, I really want a PB&J. And then Cole asked, you really want PB&J? And they said, yeah. So they made this PB&J. And then, of course, this is where I hate this. They played this weird music. They're doing all these weird close-ups. Is this parodying a movie I've never seen? Or is this just something they came up with? Do you know?
I think it's supposed to parody a courtship of Eddie's father type vignette where, they're just kind of gallivanting and having fun to music and being friends and all that.
And these weird close-ups where they're up the nose and you've got Mike playing his bongos and Matt Taven stroking his giraffe. And I can't remember what Strong was doing. And it was just so all this, it was only 30 seconds of this and it was horrible. But then when they came back, it actually wasn't too bad. So he starts eating the sandwich and then he starts spitting it out. And he's like, I hate crust. And Adam Cole is, all right, that's it. I'm out of here. He says, I got to get my surgery. And then he leaves and he goes away on his scooter. And Roddy's like, Adam. And this time Adam doesn't come back. And he's like, fellas, I know what I need to do to get my best friend back. I got to be nice to that scumbag. And that was it. So on the scale of Roddy and Adam Cole promos of the three we've seen, this might have been the best one. But that doesn't mean it was any good.
No, it wasn't any good, but it was the best of the three.
Yeah. I mean, they actually got a little better each time. If we got to if we did 10 more of these, we might get to something that was actually okay.
And I'm tougher on it because, I know. I kind of know how to write comedy.
I will say, I didn't like a lot of those bromance segments. And, I got a lot of pushback on that from people that really liked them.
They were at least funny. I may not have liked them in a wrestling sense, but they had much better timing than some.
Yeah, I didn't think a lot of them were even funny, but that's just humor and whether you like it or not. But I haven't seen anybody defend these.
Yeah,
I'm sure there is somewhere, but it's more oh, just get over it. It's only 5 minutes. Is the best defense.
Pretty much, yeah. Wrestling fans don't want you to criticize their wrestling product that they like.
So Sam thinks winter is coming, so will be one of those title defenses for MJF. I would imagine. Maybe that would probably be Wardlow. I would think maybe. That feels about right. They're just wanting to check that box. I think. I don't think it's gonna be a serious feud or anything. This is where they cut back to Tony, and Taz said, "Tony," and he says, "It is with no pleasure that I introduce my next guest, Don Callis." And he comes out. They've got the Last Supper painting now as Hobbs, Takeshita. I saw Sammy, and was it Danny Garcia in there too?
No, Ospreay.
Oh, it's Ospreay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And they showed highlights of Hobbs beating Jericho last year. Callis was with Takeshita and Hobbs. Tony Schiavone pointed out a sign that said Don Callis is worse than Dallas. Kind of like that alliteration there. And he said, last week, the Don Callis family made history in over 30 years in one of the greatest careers of all time. Jericho has never been manhandled like he was last week. Hobbs broke Jericho. And Hobbs said, February 22nd, 1998 was supposed to be the greatest day of my life. I had the chance to meet Chris Jericho. My grandma got me front row tickets to meet you. And you walked past that old lady, told her to shut up, and told her to sit down. And as a 7-year-old child, I swore that the day I got to look you in the eye, I was going to hurt you over and over and over again. And last week, and I looked at you and you were lifeless. What did I do? I picked you up and I spine busted you over and over and over again. And then Don Callis grabs the mic and he says, all his life he's been told by the people that loved him to bottle up the hate and the violence. And when you have a real family like the Don Callis family, we don't tell you to bottle up. We tell you to be what you are. And what he is a 6'3", 275-pound killing machine. And we're not done with Chris Jericho by any stretch. And at this point, I know Don Callis kept talking. I don't know if I missed anything. I was dealing with Emily and I was paying attention, but I wasn't writing the stuff down. But Kyle Fletcher comes out and basically promised that this week he's going to beat Kenny on his own. And Don Callis got a gleam in his eye and it's like, if you do, we got some business to discuss. And then the Kenny came out for the match and Don Callis went to commentary. So I don't know if I missed anything or if you got any thoughts on this segment.
No, he started trashing Kyle Fletcher and Kyle Fletcher came out and said, hey, I did this as a favor for Will Ospreay.
I missed that. Right. Yeah.
I could have, I don't know. I didn't, the Will Hobbs origin story with Jericho, just beat a guy up because you wanted to beat a guy up.
It might be true.
It might be true, but at the same time, if it's true, then Jericho deserved to get his ass beat.
Well, there is that. There's that.
And you make the bad guy the good guy, and you don't want that kind of moral ambiguity with it. It's one of those things where,
belt these dudes, Hobbs and Takeshita, by the way.
I'm fine with that. I actually like Kyle Fletcher here.
I did
quite
too.
a bit. And after the match kind of thing, I really want this to be an ongoing bit.
Oh,
where Fletcher continues to try and get into the Callis family, and then he eventually becomes the Judas. I want him to be the Judas of the Callis family eventually.
Oh my God!
And the last supper picture
went. Yeah. So in this thing, he went from burying Kyle Fletcher to putting him over. Then he gets on commentary
until he gets pinned.
He spent 15 minutes putting over Kyle Fletcher, talking about how great he was, 24 years old. Kid's got the future by the balls, all this. And then he gets pinned. And the first thing Callis says, that kid is a miserable disappointment. And then he screwed me. He screwed himself. And I was just, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, no, but turning on the dime on the guy after just praising him for 10 minutes is such a great bit. It really is.
Yeah. Oh my God. So what when Kevin mentions here that the women's only show. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this Kevin Ely and Trisha both want a women's only show and not for AEW. Mm-hmm. Although you know what, I mean, it might be fine especially if they got somebody else to run it, but nobody would watch it. That's the problem.
Give me the pencil.
There you go. This match was great.
Love this match.
Yeah, this was probably the best match.
Because Kyle Fletcher is great.
I really loved that women's match, but this was longer and it was better. I mean, it's Kenny freaking Omega. I mean, come on.
You know, you put Emi Sakura against Kenny Omega.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And you'll see a beating.
Yeah. Callis on commentary called Powerhouse Hobbs the most violent man in the history of AEW. This is where Excalibur confirmed the 13 days comment. So if you want to hear it, you can go back and watch the beginning of this match again. And he talking about how MJF is about to become the longest reigning champion in AEW history. So yeah, they went back and forth. Kenny tried the Terminator drive, but Kyle Fletcher has studied his Kenny Omega matches and pulled the ankle, so he couldn't do it. Nobody's done that before, as far as I know. Callis mentioned that he has a bad record because he's no longer with Callis. And this is where they mentioned that for the first time in his career, he's only 500, or the second time in his career. And then Excalibur was trying to talk about how he was real good before Callis, and then they started calling the match because the match was actually too damn good to be rapping about Kenny Omega's record. Fletcher was doing a V-trigger pose, but then instead he gave Kenny a high kick to the head, went for a hammerlock. Kenny reversed, hit a knee to the back of the head and a poison rana, powerbomb and a V-trigger. And I thought that was a finish, and so did everyone in the crowd, but Kyle Fletcher kicked out. And then they did a few more things, went back and forth. They both had some great moves. And then finally, Kenny Omega hit the V-trigger and the one-winged angel to get the pin. And then Callis immediately turned on him after putting him over the whole match. Great finishing sequence. Loved this match.
Yeah, no, I really liked this match. If I had a quibble, it was a little bit on commentary and what I wanted them to do instead of just the Kyle Fletcher's 24, 6'4" and built like a god was doing. And Kevin kind of reminded me of this in the chat a little bit when he mentioned Bobby Eaton. Takeshita's giving Bobby Eaton face kind of, but what they would do on in Mid-Atlantic especially, is if you had a match where it was a tag team specialist against a solo guy, they would be hyping up that he is a really good wrestler, but he is a tag team specialist type of thing, and that he needs to learn how to be a solo wrestler kind of a thing. And you could then have a nice little story arc here with Kyle Fletcher while Mark Davis is out. And I really, and that's a guy you should be doing that with.
So kind of like Ric Flair and Ricky Morton.
Yeah, a little bit. They'd more often do it with in like glorified squashes where you have like Dusty facing Stan Lane or Bobby Eaton type of a thing.
Okay.
And you could do the opposite also, you know, Robert Gibson versus Ric Flair, something like that. You'd always have you'd always have like Brad Armstrong or Tim Horner against Ric Flair type of a thing. And they were when they were the Lightning Express type of a thing. So yeah, I like those types of, and they do it on WWF sometimes too. Like they'd have the Ultimate Warrior, you know, squash Tully Blanchard or something like that.
And then eventually you give Kyle Fletcher like a big singles win over, you know, a top
guy.
Five.
And that's what they do terribly too, is they build that up and then they never pull the trigger on that big win. They always do some sort of half-assed win.
Or they do it and then the other guy just gets a heat back right away.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah. But I like him a lot. I'm going to be interested to see if they also play into the Will Ospreay is a member of the Callis family and Fletcher isn't type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Kyle Fletcher at this point is kind of like almost like a hired gun, you know, or something. I don't even know, because
he's a mercenary.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a Ronin too, because he really doesn't have anywhere to go without the tag team partner. So he's kind of looking for something.
Yep. So he said, and Callis mentioned that that Kyle Fletcher should quit the business and get a 9-to-5 job.
In fact, the Ronin Kyle Fletcher would be an awesome nickname.
There you go. Kind of looks like him a little bit. We got the Danhausen return video package, which I've seen a couple times now. It's fine. I like what they're doing here. They're just letting us know that Danhausen's coming back. Halloween's coming, so probably do something with him there.
Yeah, and they also played in the Batman '88 in there too, wasn't it? With the Joker TV ad.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it was
Danhausen. Well, no, yeah, but what was the last words on the screen there? It was love. Oh, it's love that Danhausen or something like that. That with like the love that Joker thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. I didn't.
Sorry, my mind was going.
No, I didn't get the reference. So,
but no, Danhausen's over. So yeah, he's always welcome.
Lance Archer came out and dragged Barrett Brown to the ring. Well, more or less just kind of threw him to the ring. And then they got in the ring and the bell rang, and Taz didn't need to tell us that the match hadn't started yet because he'd already mentioned that earlier in the show.
This was literally Lance Archer is still on the roster and we're in Texas.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, I assumed we were going to get like, I know Battle of Belts is coming. I figured, he's just going to wrestle Orange Cassidy on Saturday and that'll be it.
Well, no, we're going to get this for 3 weeks and he's going to have a wristband that says MJF on it. And then he's going to point
No. He's going to wrestle, because the last time they did this, he wrestled Orange Cassidy and Orange Cassidy won by countout. So this time he's going to actually pin Lance Archer.
Well, he's not even in the 3-way, so.
No. So maybe it'll be next week. Maybe we get 2 weeks of this.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to have the MJF armband. It could be wrong. No Jake the Snake.
I'm just.
Barrett actually got like a second of a hope spot.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So it made it a slightly better match than the Wardlow match if you're giving star ratings out for this shit. And nothing else. No interview. No nothing. Just
Paul had issues with this, but yes,
I didn't have any issues. It was fine.
Shit.
Well, no, Sorry, I didn't mean to say. Sometimes shit is just a generic phrase for things.
All right.
I didn't mean it to say it was
I'm
bad.
actively listening, Paul, but please continue.
All right. So they mentioned Friday, and I thought it was going to be the rundown, but apparently it's going to just be on YouTube, and it's going to be the world music video premiere of the Big Pressure remix of Swerve's official theme song. They showed some clips and a lot of Nana dancing. And then they said, our cameras caught up with Swerve and Nana. They were at Graffiti Park in Houston. And Nana's all excited. Some of the top rappers in the world have been here. You get to do your release on YouTube on Friday. And Swerve said, I should be happy, right? But I'm not. He said, I should be celebrating this video along with being TNT champion. But because of Hangman, I'm not. And originally, this was just me coming for your spot. But now it's personal. And you don't want to go to war with someone who gives less of a damn than you. And as you know, no one cares less about life than I do. And it's not always you that pays for his actions. So I assume he's going to go after Hangman's friend, maybe John Silver, which they're not friends anymore, but they're probably just going to think we forgot that. Is my guess.
I didn't realize that Swerve was such a nihilist.
I think it's something about Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, because Darby's like that too. Nick Wayne.
Depressing place. Rain all the time.
Yeah. He's clearly going after one of Hangman's friends, right? Is what he said here, essentially.
Yeah, I would guess so.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine it's one of the Bucks, so it's probably one of those Dark Order.
Silver wins the 3-way, and then he interrupts the international title match.
Maybe who knows? But him and Silver broke up already. But again, they'll just pretend.
Long-term storytelling, Paul.
Sorry about that. You're right. So next we got I think I'm guessing you like this segment, and I kind of did too. Although it was a little long for my liking. Tony Schiavone in the ring. He first introduced this man in 1987 on this very station. Here is Sting, and Sting comes out. And 30 years ago, I was impressed when the crowd wooed back at me, and I couldn't believe it. Now here I am. And should I say the word? And I thought the word was Showtime at first, but clearly he was hinting at retirement. But he says, before I say it, I want to reflect. All these years,
I thought it was the scream he was hinting at for a second. Like, what is he thinking of? Okay,
no, but yeah. So all these years traveling up and down the road with Lex Luger, Ricky and Scott, the Steiners, which was interesting you mentioned them, Buff Bagwell, his names from the past. And he said, we look at the generation ahead of us like Dusty Rhodes, the most charismatic human I've ever met. And he said, Dusty, thank you. And he said, Hulk Hogan, and the people booed. And he says, hey.
He was thrown by this, by the way.
Well, I mean, you're bringing up Rick Steiner, you're bringing up the Hulk, but he says, you know what? He transcended wrestling, and I did learn a lot from him. But he says, one of the guys I really want to give a shout out to is the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Thanks, Rick. Fans are wooing. He said, Clash 1988, first world title match, put me on the map. 1990, another world title match. This time I came out the victor. Thanks again, Nature Boy. And fans chanted, thank you, Sting. And he says, no, thank you. And he said, we used to wonder, why do these guys keep coming back? What do they have to prove? Here I am all these years later, and I understand why they hung on. The smell of the arena, the camaraderie with the guys, traveling all over the globe, the roar of the fans. Can my body do the same thing it did 20 years ago? No. Should I be jumping off balconies? The fans cheer. And then Sting's like, we'll talk about that. And he says, but getting back to that word. And he stops. He says, before I quite get there, and the fans chant, you still got it. He says, thank you again. And he says, some of you are thinking, you retired once already. He says, yeah, I said it, retirement, but we're going to say it again in a minute. He says, that retirement in 2015 didn't sit right with me. There's one key moment in my retirement speech I made. He said, the only sure thing is that nothing's for sure, which brings me to the word retirement again. He says, I want to address it live in living color here on Dynamite in the great state of Texas. And the fans were kind of mixed. And he says, right here in Rosenberg, Texas, doing his very big Mick Foley. And he says, it's kind of a mixed crowd tonight. And I think he was expecting a bigger pop. And he says, this is my moment. It's your moment. And I want to share it with, I wrote down her. I think I meant you. He says, my very first match was in Revolution. My very first match in AEW was in Revolution 2021. My very last match will be Revolution 2024. And the fans were kind of like, oh. And then they started chanting, Sting, Sting, Sting. And he says, one more key thing that you need to know. The only thing for sure about Sting is my retirement at Revolution 2024 is for sure. And that was it. John asked, does Sting main event Revolution 2024? I'm going to say
no.
Probably no.
No.
No, Eddie Gilbert
he might be second to last, but no. Yeah, it was obvious. Tony kind of said, what do you want to say for your retirement speech? And Sting wrote a retirement speech.
And because of it,
it was a little rambly.
Because of it, we got a freaking 8-minute overrun, which I'll get into later.
Yes, but he got to say everything he wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think next week he's getting a gift that gets destroyed. Like I think he's getting like I think Tony's gonna like present him with like a rocking chair or something. Or he's gonna be the first member of the AEW Hall of Fame.
That would be my guess. Was he the first member of the TNA Hall of Fame?
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe an honorary title belt.
I think this might be like an NBA type thing where it's like he's gonna do the retirement tour up until and maybe he gets gifts in every city or something like that, or maybe they do a parody of that. They give him a rocking chair, and then somebody comes out and destroys it.
I got one for you. Gives him MJF's ring, and MJF's behind that as well.
Why?
Why not? They're awarding the ring next week. It's worth a lot of money. He can go pawn it.
Pawn it.
Get a gold.
I was trying to think of a Philly. I was trying to think of a Philly connection.
Oh, cheesesteaks.
No. I meant wrestling connection.
No, it is wrestling connection. Did you see the Junior Tag Fest or the NJPW World League Junior Festival that they had in Philly? The main event was a 3-way ladder match with cheesesteaks hanging from the ceiling. I'm not making this up.
You just asked if I saw that. You wanted a serious answer to that. No, I didn't see it. Yeah. So,
he could be a 4-time Hall of Famer. Yeah. Is that including the Wrestling Observer? Did he make that one yet? I can't remember.
Yes, he did.
Okay. So yeah, the notable WWE Hall of Fame, the team. He might be in the WCW Hall of Fame too. Maybe not actually. They were doing that when he was first starting. So
maybe a custom belt, maybe something. I don't know, but yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's gonna be to set up an angle, but I think isn't the obvious pick here? It's gonna be Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne versus Sting, Darby, and Adam Copeland
in his last match.
Yes.
I mean, that's a long way away. Revolution. This is Revolution, right? So we're talking February.
So I was thinking November for some reason.
No. So we've got some time.
Yeah. No. Okay. So here.
I think his last match got to be against Darby.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of it. I mean, I could see them doing Edge.
Yeah, they're gonna do an Adam Copeland match at some point.
Yeah. But I would like it to be Darby. But
yeah, no, okay. So Revolution is so it's gonna be a tour. It's gonna be a tour where he gets gifts in every city or something to that effect.
Yeah. We got Winter is coming up. I imagine he'll get a big match there. Revolution is not in November, Gianna Forever. It's in usually late February, early March. I could be wrong, and somebody can look it up, but I believe November is Full Gear. But I could be wrong. And Kevin thinks they might give him a custom TNT title, and he wants the real one. Oh, I like that.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's a good.
And you could do Sting and Christian Cage at the pay-per-view. I am right.
I feel like
mark this down. I was right. Somebody screenshot this.
I've noted this.
Yeah. Okay. I was right. I can't believe it. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Isn't that when you have somebody who tells you you're wrong all the time and you're finally right, and you're like,
I'm like. I'm getting a little.
But you're always right. That's the thing. The people who tell you you're always wrong, they're always wrong. I'm trolling someone in the chat.
Okay. All right. This is where we got the Toni Storm video, Gone with the Storm. Chin up, tits out.
Play the movie.
That's a t-shirt now.
Play the movie. Yeah, I know.
Movie. I didn't see it.
I did.
Okay. Tell me about it.
It was her in RJ City.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Some light funny comedy with her going big physically, like chewing on something that was rough and stuff like that, and them having a dialogue. It was basically a parody of a silent movie, that you'd think of. But it was well done. I just RJ City does nothing for me now, thanks to you.
Well, you've never done anything for me. But so what I've heard from people that have seen, because they'll post these on YouTube after the fact, and you can see the full thing. And
yes, they posted it on Twitter as well.
So they put a lot of work and effort into these things, and they seem they're actually pretty good. But then they're putting them on during picture-in-picture when nobody can see it. I don't.
Well, they can see it. I mean,
they can see it, but they can't hear it, and the music enhances it, from what I understand.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm told. So if that's true, then I wonder why they're doing it this way. But I guess they figure, well, they can't air it, and if they're putting a silent movie in black and white on during a wrestling show, people.
Tony Khan, listen to me. Come in close. People need to urinate. All right, you can't just be putting 2 hours straight of wrestling or 6 hours straight on your pay-per-views as well. All right, people have to pee, or get a snack at home. This happens during commercial breaks.
We got
for many of us. Look, don't get into semantics and ruin my bit here, Paul.
Okay.
I am too lazy to reach for a remote control and hit pause. I am watching this thing live. I ain't catching up at any time.
I had a conversation with somebody similar to this, and
Son of a
we were
bitch, you ruined my.
I'm sorry. We were talking about shows like this and mentioning how, they watch the Hulu cut and everything. And I'm like, I don't need to watch the Hulu cut. This is like WWE stuff. Because I just tape the show and then I fast forward to the entrances and I fast forward through the commercials and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't want to use the fast forward button.
Exactly.
This is what we've come to.
I come from a long line of lazy people, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't want to use that fast forward at all.
That is a new level of lazy.
I might miss something if I fast forward through it.
Yeah, I guess.
Not on this show.
So you'd rather have Hulu decide what you can see and what you can't see than
I will
decide
never
for
pay
yourself.
for Hulu. I will never get Hulu.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't understand.
No, but the funny thing is, I record all these shows on my DVR and I delete them like every 3 weeks or so, just in case I have to fast forward or rewind or something like that. And then I never do.
Oh, so some of the time you don't even watch them.
Oh, I have tons of rampages and.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and other tertiary shows that I do not watch. No.
Okay, gotcha. No, I mean Rampage and Collision I have to watch on the app, so that's a totally different story. And I can't.
Like I have Impact for 3 months, and I've never even watched Impact since it came to Access.
I love Impact. I love Impact. All right, JR with Nick and his mom. That is literally her name. They didn't even give her a name.
Let's start with the staging of this was so ridiculous because you have JR in the background, you have Nick kind of in the middle, and then you have the mom in the foreground, and she looks about 8 feet tall compared to Jim Ross.
Nick is sitting back in his seat like this.
Yes,
he's got a scowl on his face
to match JR's. It was nice.
Yeah, JR did not want to be there. He says that something about, if your dad was here, he might be able to help this situation. He claims that Nick's mom kind of helped to raise Darby. That's a new plot point. I don't think we've been introduced to before.
That's some new continuity that's being introduced into this story.
Yeah. Mom says, this isn't it. He says, and then this can't be it. And then Nick's like, I've got a new father figure. Christian Cage, he's a better father figure than dad ever was, and mom's crying and she's yelling, and I can't believe it.
Hold on, we've introduced some Zach Wilson continuity possibly into this storyline where he might have dated Nick Wayne's mom.
What, Christian?
No, Darby Allin.
Oh no, because she said he was your brother. So I don't think they dated. I could be wrong, but yeah.
No. It's just, no. I'm
just not Nick's mom.
Oh my goodness.
This was a train wreck.
Oh, it was terrible. Although
Jerry Springer.
She tried to be emotional, and
she was the best actress of the three.
I agree.
Or the best actor of the three, I should say.
My pinpoint though is it was here's where you get to improv, director Jeff. He already knows you're his son. You don't need to keep calling him son.
Oh yeah,
all the time. Son. Unless she uses that in real life, I will forgive it. If she doesn't, it's like, as your mother.
Yeah, as your mother.
Son. It's like, wait a second, I should know these types of things. Yes, this was a dinner theater. This was the melodrama. This wasn't good.
This is still better than the Cole and Roddy segment.
Yes, it was better than the Edge promo.
Yes, it was. So Christian shows up. Fans pop when they see Christian, and he says, "Are you ready to come home, son?" And she grabbed him. And then Nick turns around. He says, "Don't touch me. You're a terrible mother." And oh my God, Anthony nails it. Yeah. Anthony nailed it here. This was 1000% a Tubi show. No question.
What's the lighting? Because I don't understand Tubi.
Oh, well, it's a free-to-air service, but they have some original stuff.
So it felt like cable access is what you're telling me.
Oh no, but well, kind of little bit higher than that, but
okay,
not much. Yeah. It's a free app. Download it. Check it out. But anyways, yeah, he says, "Don't touch me, you're a terrible mother." She slapped him, and then JR is like, "That's your son. That's your mother."
JR was terrible. Although I will say, after the slap, she was great.
Yeah,
because she immediately regretted it. Yes.
Oh no, what did I do? What did I do? Yes. And then Nick looks at her and says, "You're dead to me." And then JR's like, what have you done? And then all of a sudden they leave. And then there's a commotion outside, and you hear the screaming, and you hear things bouncing, and she's like got this look of terror on her face.
What this needed was after the slap was the same cut shot when the Bullet Club Gold attacked Kenny Omega on the stage, and JR's just kind of standing there staring like he didn't know what to do.
The exact same one, yeah.
The exact same one. That's what I needed here.
Just a like a little Easter egg. And then so there's a commotion outside. She opens the door, and she has this look of horror on her face because Darby is just beating the shit out of Christian and Nick Wayne. And this was something else. Then they brawl all the way to the ringside area. They're on the stage. Nick got bloodied up. They said he might have lost a tooth.
I think he got potatoed in the mouth by Darby.
Yeah, he got beat up pretty bad. He was bleeding hard way. And Luchasaurus eventually shows up to make the save for Nick and Christian. And then Sting showed up. They end up in the ring. Sting's got Christian in the Scorpion Deathlock. Luchasaurus pulled him to safety. And they just kept focusing on Nick and his hardway blood. And this was interesting. That
was an alert to Britt Baker to get ready for after the show.
Yeah. Where's Britt? I find it funny. I heard, Britt is at home with Adam, but Adam's on TV every week.
And at Roddy's house.
Yeah. Well, I think just peel back the curtain. I think they might have taped these like all in like the same day, like a month ago.
What?
Yeah. Adam's not really wearing the same shirt every week. What?
Yeah.
Paul?
No.
Yeah, I believe so. God, I keep seeing this like that Tubi. I can't unsee the Tubi thing now.
I'm told she's nursing an injury as well, so it's
okay.
But she's also cut back on her dentistry.
Oh, really? So she probably is really helping Adam out. Here's where we got our Rampage rundown. Mystico and Rocky Romero, which they had a great video package for this on like Collision or Rampage or something in here. They just announced it. I kind of wanted to see that video package here, but I think because of Sting, we were.
Did they play it on the Friday or Saturday show for this?
One of those, yeah. I don't know which one, but the one that Rocky Romero like narrated. No, it was great.
Yeah.
Claudio and Wheeler will be in action, and I assume they're going to win the in action because they're wrestling for the tag team titles on Saturday. Sky Blue and Ruby Soho. So there's like 5 women, that are on TV right now. I don't know where everybody else is. And John Silver, Kip Sabian, and Brother Zay in a number 1 contenders match, as it turns out, for the international title. That's a hell of a crew right there.
Yes. It's a what?
Yeah.
Have any of these guys won a match on television in weeks? Months?
I would venture to guess never.
Yes.
I don't think any one of those guys has ever won a match on television, a singles match. John Silver's won.
John Silver has won a singles match.
Not a singles match. No way.
No?
I don't think so. Somebody prove me wrong. I'm sure on like Dark or Elevation, there's no way he's won a singles match.
Can we somehow market this, please, then, as 3 guys who should never get a title shot? Or you have
this would be like Peter Avalon against Brandon Cutler back in the day. They built a YouTube feed. They actually did a really good job with that feud. I got to say, in the early days of AEW. They were both like 0-30, and they kept doing double countouts and double DQs, and they finally got a decision, and I don't remember who won. And then Collision, Ricky Starks and Big Bill against Wheeler and Claudio for the tag team titles, and Miro against Action Andretti in a loser dies match. It's to see if Action Andretti can be CJ Perry's new client, and I don't think it's going to go very well for him. And then Battle of the Belts. We've got Renee Paquette with Orange Cassidy, Hook and the Best Friends, and Chris Statlander. She says we got 3 belts represented here. So I'm like, oh, cool. We're
getting 3 belt. Yeah, we're getting 3 title matches. Nope, we're getting 2.
Yeah, we're getting 2. Hook's not defending his title. Statlander is defending her title on Saturday. She says this belt is about great professional wrestling. I'm going to give a title shot to someone that deserves it, and that someone is Willow Nightingale. So everyone's happy. Orange Cassidy, you've regained the international title again, and you're going to defend against the winner of Friday's 3-way. How does it feel to have the gold? And he says, well, there's an old saying. I can't quite place it. And then Chuck says, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And then Orange is like, yeah, that's it. He said, I didn't know how much you cared about this thing until I lost it, and now I'm going to defend it. When I look at it, there's unfinished business. So to me, they're building to Jon Moxley. He's got to beat Jon Moxley now. But he said, this Saturday, I've got something to prove. So he's going to defend the title against one of those geeks. And World Trios title match, Daniel Garcia, Cool Hand Ange, and Daddy Magic
are going to lose to the Acclaimed.
They are.
And probably break up.
No, they're going to stretch this out a little bit longer.
You think so? Okay.
I think so. These World Trios titles, man, where the hell are the Bucks?
Counting their money,
I guess. Yeah, they're the world. Maybe they're wrestling in Ring of Honor.
The Ring of Honor's Trios title
Yeah.
holder, so you can't put them in these matches.
No, but maybe they're wrestling on Ring of Honor. Are they?
Not on TV. No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Not Nate. All right. Yeah, this is a different conversation. Okay. What is it? Oh, somebody said John Silver is 1-0 in AEW singles matches.
Yes, I asked who he'd be, and we don't know.
It would be Dark or Elevation. There's no way he's won a match on TV. I would bet my oldest kid on it because I don't really care that much about him. No, I'm just kidding. Prayers to Paul. Oh, I'll tell you off air about Paul. It's not good. It's not good.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, it's not like he's not dying or anything. Hopefully, everybody keep praying for him. He's still recovering in the hospital with his blastomycosis, but there's something else going on too. So I'll tell Jeff off air.
Thank you.
Next week, Tony Khan has a gift for Sting. Hook and RVD are going to team again in Philly, so RVD is back. MJF against the winner of the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal, and he's going for 5 in a row. They showed a nice clip of 4 banners in the background, and so 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 in a row. So he'll what is this? Silver beat Bowens on Collision in September. Oh yeah, that was to get the 6-man title shot.
Yeah,
that's right. I do remember that, but that was not on Dynamite. So I think I said that right. He's probably going to win then, right? Because I can't see Kip saving.
I don't think you have to give up your kid either way, Paul. So don't worry about it.
All right. Well, Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. Natural Dustin Rhodes got the first entrance. It's funny because Dustin Rhodes cut a promo on Collision about this match, and we had Urkel talk about how he was going to enter it, and we also had Juice Robinson talking extensively about it. So they basically, like everyone else in this match, did not matter one little bit. And sure enough, we get the Dustin Rhodes entrance. We go to commercial. We come back, and there's a bunch of people outside the ring. I have no idea who's in the match, who's not. There's 20 people out there, but there's only 12 in the match. And then we got an entrance for Juice, and then we got Urkel, and he did a rap, and he said he's going to embarrass everyone like Jada Pinkett. It's gonna be like Joel Osteen avoiding taxes, and I'm putting this to bed like I'm Mattress Matt. And as far as I know, there's no homophobic slurs unless I missed it. No. Then Anthony Bowens got in the ring and scissored with Daddy Ass, even though neither one of them was in the match. And then MJF got an entrance to do commentary. So 9 of the people in this match didn't get an entrance, but MJF did. And I'm not complaining. That's about right.
No, it's very WWE in that way.
It was, because I mean, they literally told you,
here's the people who are important, and we honored Dustin as a legend.
Yes, exactly. And they're in Texas. So
yeah.
And they even pointed on the graphic, he is going for his first world title in his 34-year career, I think is what they said.
That was the story.
And this is where he mentioned all the people that were coming after him: Wardlow, Jay White, Kenny Omega, Samoa Joe. So Garcia, Danny Garcia's in here, Matt Menard, Commander, we're in the Battle Royal. Johnny TV, Jake Hager, the Hardys, Matt Sydal, Trent Barretta. I think he was the only one of the best friends that was out there. So I think that's everybody.
I think you got them all.
All right. I started writing down the eliminations and I just kind of gave up. Johnny TV was the first one out pretty quickly by Matt Hardy and Dustin Rhodes. Jake Hager threw Matt Hardy out. MJF left commentary to head to the ring, and he bribed Dustin, I think, just to give him the Shattered Dreams. Like, I think that's literally, I don't think he was, it was, so Dustin took the money and gave him the Shattered Dreams. And then he went back to commentary.
He wanted the talentless taint to be kicked in the taint because he said he had a rock hard taint. And he did not
That's
have a rock hard
correct.
taint.
That is correct. And Taz pointed out, because they mentioned that it was 100. Taz said I'd have done it for 50. I thought that was a good line. And so the final 5 are Daniel Garcia, Daddy Magic, Dustin Rhodes, Urkel, and Juice Robinson. We got some miscommunication from Garcia and Matt Menard, and Dustin was able to throw out Matt by that. And then Dustin Rhodes was immediately thrown out by Daniel Garcia. So we're left with Daniel Garcia, Urkel, and Juice Robinson. Garcia danced and then immediately got thrown out by Urkel. And
a lot of dancing in this battle royal. We had Johnny TV, we had Jeff Hardy, we had
Jeff Hardy got a big pop for his, yeah. Daniel Garcia, every time he did his dance, it didn't work out. One thing that drove me nuts, there was one match, I think it was on Rampage, like I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where Garcia danced and then he hit a move and then they won. And then in his post-fight promo, he claimed that he won because of the dance. Did you catch that? And Matt Menard's trying to talk sense into him. And the funny thing is, I think Garcia is supposed to be the face coming out of this, but Matt Menard is 100% right.
Yes.
In this scenario, yeah.
This is such a weird company where the heels have points and the baby faces are jerks. Yes.
Yeah. So we're down to Urkel and Juice Robinson. Max says I don't want either one of them to win because if Caster wins, I got to deal with his tomfoolery. He used that word. And if Juice Robinson wins, well, I'm going to murder him. I swear on my mother's deep blue eyes that I'll murder him. So he's a babyface threatening to murder somebody. I think he has to do it. You can't not murder him. Like babyfaces. Oh, but he's a scumbag. So
he's a scumbag. So he's a heel also. So yes.
So this went on way too long, and I'm going to go off on just a bit of a side rant here because my PVR records Dynamite every week, and it's scheduled to go at 3 minutes over. I think that's just by default, and I kind of left it alone because occasionally I do a run-in or an overrun. This week, they mentioned at some point, Tony Khan has okayed us to go over. So I'm like, okay, they're probably going to go over. So I changed it to 5 minutes. Well, we got into this match, and they I don't know exactly when they hit the top of the hour, but they kept going. And then at one point, they're brawling on the apron. I think I saw the Jay White thing. He came out and attacked Max, and they brawled. Max got the belt back, and then Jay low blowed him and got the belt back again. And then at that point, my screen just stops. And I guess that's the 5 minutes. So they went a little bit over 5. So I had to go to live TV and then rewind to the beginning of the next show. And then I
Sheldon? Yes.
No, here it's like it was some other thing.
You're missing the comedy masterpiece that is Young Sheldon.
I like Young Sheldon.
Never mind.
So I had to watch.
You're the one. Okay.
I had to watch 5 minutes that I'd already seen because they don't allow you to fast forward when you're doing it this way. And then just to get nothing. Basically nothing happened in this overrun. They did not need an overrun. They could have got this match in on time.
Tony is doing overruns willy-nilly, and he's over abusing it, in my opinion.
I don't know why. I don't think it's helping for ratings. I see the ratings every week. And I think it's annoying fans, and there's no need for it. If you're going to do an overrun, make it worth something. Have a debut, I think last week's was actually okay because it was Edge and it was his first match and they did the brawl after. Yeah. You wanted to see that. You missed nothing here. If you didn't see it, but I had to watch it because I needed to know what happened, and nothing happened. Urkel was distracted by the stuff going on the stage. Juice threw him out of the ring, and that's it. And they celebrated, and MJF, was like threatening to kill him, and that was it. Pointed to his ring, and Juice was mocking him, knocking that he was going to knock him out, and that was it. They did a really good job building to the match next week. Nothing wrong. The Battle Royal was fine. It was not, it was a battle royal. Are you freaking kidding me?
I hope not.
They didn't mention.
There was a promo online that was great because they were asking Double J, about how many times he beat Jerry Lawler in Louisville. Whatever.
They couldn't have mentioned this on TV.
Well, you couldn't because Jeff Jarrett would overshadow everything then because Jeff Jarrett's awesome.
Well, it makes sense too because we're building to an Eddie Kingston Jay Lethal match at Final Battle, I assume. So this is him facing somebody in the crew. Yeah.
Yeah, because Dave Brown's going to be there too, I believe.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they're in Memphis, and they got to sell some tickets because I don't know. I'm sure they're a little bit better now, but I know at one point when I looked, they were like under 1,000. I'm sure they're a lot higher than that now, but probably not much more over 2. So they do need to sell some tickets. No WWE this week, so they'll probably have a decent audience. That's it for Dynamite. I don't know, not much else we can talk about, but I'm kind of like the direction they're going. Some of the matches they built up. We got MJF and Juice. I assume we're gonna get Cole back soon. He got his surgery.
So for next week, do the Devil's Playthings show up and help?
I think so.
Okay.
Because Roddy said we're gonna help. I gotta be nice to that scumbag. They've kind of dropped that part of it, but I don't think
but
I think it's more like
they've dropped it enough for us to not suspect also.
Right. And Jay White hints at it. He says, "Oh, get your minions to come and hit me," or whatever. I think that we all thought that that they were doing this 4-on-4 was going to be, MJF and the Acclaimed. I feel like maybe that's not actually going to happen. And that's like a swerve. Like they're leading us in that direction, but that's not actually what we're going to see. So, maybe. God, please let it not be those idiots under the masks. Can you imagine?
Which one's the Acclaimed?
Yeah.
No, that's not gonna happen.
No, it's got to be Cole's crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what? All this time, maybe Kyle O'Reilly will be ready to come back soon too. So maybe they could do that. But yeah, I think we will see the his minions come in next week.
Okay.
And I do like the build for MJF and Jay White. I gotta say, it's a slow build, but we're getting there, and we still got a month.
It's getting better, but Jay White's promos still aren't getting it done for me.
I'm kind of liking it.
That's fine. You can disagree.
Yeah. But I will say, like, part of it is because I don't think he's going to win. And so I don't want him to actually make me want him to win. Does that make sense? I want to see MJF kick his ass, which is actually what you're supposed to want. Like, you're supposed to want the babyface to beat up the heel. And that's kind of what I want. I want to see MJF kick his ass and get his belt back. Like, that's literally what I want to see. I don't remember the last time I actually felt that way about a babyface, like how you're supposed to feel. Like, it's been a while because usually babyfaces are booked pretty shitty. And I tend to be more behind the heels in a lot of cases, or like sometimes you're in favor of the baby faces, like, oh, you like Seth Rollins and you just want to see him win, but you don't necessarily want to see him like get revenge. And I kind of want to see MJF get revenge on Jay White.
Like Turbo Floyd. I want to see him get revenge for that loss on Saturday.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's yeah. Oh, that was sad. He should have won.
I agree.
Yeah.
Push those guys to the moon.
Money on the table. On the table. Not Bear Boulder though.
No.
All right. Jeff, what do you got going on?
Arcane references and bad jokes at Crap Game 13 on the Twitter /X/ whatever you want to call it. I'm on Blue Sky, but I never write there. I do a show called Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. This week, Chris Novembrino returns from Tram Fest. We talk about whatever he watched this week. We'll see what happens. That'll drop either Friday or Saturday.
And I am also on the old X machine at Paul Ace Fontaine. You can check out my thoughts, and I always post my links. Every time I hit another 100 matches, I post my spreadsheet of all the matches I've watched this year. I'm over 2,800 now. And I did the wrap this past weekend with Keela Cash. I sat in for Scott Young, so that was a lot of fun. We talked about all things WWE. And then, of course, I broke down the upcoming UFC with Ryan Frederick on the In the Clinch podcast, which dropped earlier today on the Fight Game Media audio feed. We talked about the changes to UFC 294. We talked about Conor McGregor and USADA and a bunch of other stuff. So it was a fun show, as always. So check it out. I think I just stole Brian Alvarez's line. So I'll go back to my own catchphrase. For Jeff, I've been Paul, and this has been the Dynamite Show. Later.